Michaela, could you imagine going to college, graduating, going to law school, killing it, getting a job in that space, and then you realize like you really don't like that job? I mean, what would you do? You spend all that schooling, all those years down this one path, and you realize you really didn't enjoy it. I mean, what would you do about that?
That's a tough one. I honestly don't know, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers are having the same problem. And so I know that's why we called our own Valerie Jackson to the table.
Valerie Jackson, what does she do here?
She is the Director of Inclusion and Diversity here at Procore, and has a little bit of experience with that.
She had that moment?
She had that moment, and she talked about that in our podcast, and I'll let her introduce herself and her journey of how she got to the place that she is today.
Right.
But we're really excited to have her on episode number 11. I'm your co-host, Michaela Iunker.
I'm Ox Turner. So enjoy episode 11 with Valerie Jackson.
Episode 11. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good number.
Oh, yay!
Okay, we're already off to a good start.
Yeah.
We can turn it off now.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, this is fun.
We're out. We found our lucky number. We're good.
Valerie Jackson.
Every day.
You've been here for almost a year now.
Right.
Here's Procore, Santa Barbara area. What is your role here at Procore? Like, what is the title? What would we do?
So the title, because the role itself is a living, breathing thing. My title is Senior Director, Global Inclusion and Diversity.
Global Inclusion.
And Diversity.
And Diversity.
Mm-hmm. Say that 3 times fast. Say it 1 time fast.
Senior Director. I already messed up. I went slow. Can you talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old and explain to me?
I love that. Yeah.
What is that? Like, what is that supposed to be?
With a vision behind it, I
guess. Like if you were stuck in an elevator
with me.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh, Valerie, it's so nice to meet you.
You had to explain that to me.
What do you do?
Yeah.
The classic.
Yeah.
I help companies unlock the possibilities of all of their people and teams by starting with the people themselves. How's that?
Wow, mic drop.
Did that,
was good.
Lead to more questions?
It'll always lead to more questions. It was beautiful. I love the unlock.
Yeah.
Like we're just unlocking some potential here.
And I mean, because I feel like that's like a very specialized skill set, obviously, right?
Collection of skills, yeah.
Right, and that sounds like more of like a contracting type role, right, rather than an internal industry role. That sounds like something that maybe like a consultant might come in for a bit. So
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Every person who does what I do approaches it differently, right? I guess you could say the same for every kind of role. How I approach my role focuses a lot on things like engagement and how people work together, team dynamics, helping to see and propel the business towards success. How I do that and why I do that are my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how I approach it has a lot to do with why I do this work.
Gotcha.
And my why is helping every person to find happiness and success however they define those terms.
That's beautiful. I love that.
That's my why on the planet. The how has and will evolve over time. But that's what I truly believe I'm here for, to help people find or create or realize their own happiness and success on their terms.
Yeah. I mean that's like
huge.
Yeah, that's great, and that's great that you were able to find a position you're able to do that in. Is that something that you see common amongst companies that do they care about that outcome?
Well, okay. By the way, I should mention I'm also a lawyer, which is why everything you say I'm like parsing apart.
Parse away.
So,
I love that.
A couple of questions that I hear there. Do companies care, and who does this within companies, right?
Sure, yes.
So there are a lot of people who feel this way within companies, whether or not it is their title.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who care about Aksum's success, Michaela's success. They care about your happiness, and they want you to get there on your terms.
Yeah.
And they might be head of engineering, right? Or head of pick something.
Okay.
Or they might be in the people department like me.
Yeah.
My role helps me to focus on what I talked about exclusively, but it also shapes the how, right? Because I'm not head of HR. I'm not head of compensation and benefits. I'm not head of L&D, right? I'm head of I&D, inclusion and diversity. And so what I do is I weave what I'm passionate about into what this function can do for a company, which is lift us up.
Right.
So data tell us that inclusive companies are twice as likely to meet or exceed our financial goals, 3 times as likely to have high-performing teams, 6 times as likely to be innovative and agile, and 8 times more likely to literally tick off or exceed all of their business metrics.
Wow.
That's an inclusive company. Why is that true? Because you're unlocking the potential of everyone, and you're creating an environment where we all want to lean in and give you our best and work our tails off for all of us to collectively succeed.
Yeah.
Businesses like to make money, and when people can come in and help them to make money while also increasing employee engagement, employee satisfaction, that is a win-win.
Yeah.
That is not how all people who do what I do approach what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because it's what I'm passionate about, it's why I do what I do, how I do it.
Yeah.
So I care every day about how you experience life, how happy you are, how successful you are, believe you are, even if I haven't met you yet.
Right.
And in my job, what I do is I work with our company to help create an environment through processes, policies, teams, etc., education, to help create an environment where you are happier individually, where you see an opportunity to be successful.
Right.
Am I making sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah. I love that, and I feel like there's just so much passion behind what you're saying. And
I'm
like,
not passionate at all.
Yeah, I love it, and so much truth to it. So where did this passion stem from? Because there's so many people in the world who are like, oh, I cannot deal with people.
Yeah.
And I feel like you seem like a person that you are like, I love people. Like, I want to see them succeed.
I love people, and I'm fascinated by people. Yeah. I'm also an introvert, so...
What's your Myers-Briggs?
Let's just open it all up. I am an INFJ.
Oh, I love it. I'm an ENFJ.
Oh, wow. Okay. So...
Here we are.
Okay, but okay.
The
Myers-Briggs tangent.
Right.
We can test differently
Yeah.
over time based on what's going on in our lives or where we're working. So at my core, I believe myself to be an INFJ.
Okay.
I know that at times I can be a very close cusp FT, which means I move from feeling to thinking, right? But in some organizations, I tested as an extrovert, which is the E.
Yeah.
Because I was so outgoing and I was thinking out loud and doing a lot of extroverted activities.
Yeah.
Extroversion and introversion have nothing to do with shyness.
Yeah.
I also was very shy as a kid.
Yeah.
But introversion means that I charge my battery by doing things by myself. So I love you, but I need to work in a space that is quiet and can like separate myself off.
Yeah.
And if I've done a training or gone to a conference, I need to build in time to recover.
Right.
It also means that I process internally.
Yeah.
So it can be challenging for me to brainstorm at times, or for me to give you my best in a brainstorm. Okay, tangent over. Now, back to, I say that I extrovert for a living because it helps me do my job. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an anthropologist.
Oh, I love that.
I wanted to be a cultural anthropologist. I wanted to study everybody, learn why you do what you do based on your affiliation with your culture.
Yep.
And when I was in school, my mom was like, you got to study something that's going to make you some money.
Serious.
This is all fine and good, but...
Yeah. That's why I stopped. I honestly had the same passion, and it's like, wait. This is free. I'm not Mother Teresa. I do need to pay my bills. Yeah.
She was like, you explain to me how that will support you when you are 25, 35, 55.
Right.
So then I studied politics and decided to go into politics, and then I quickly changed.
I feel like I hear dun dun dun.
Yeah.
I went to law school.
Yeah.
That's incredible, though.
Yes, it was.
But
I don't know that there's a but.
Okay,
but you
that's
can see that there's a winding road. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a passion. Also had very real needs. Support myself, pay for my education, pay for life. And so I believed that going to law school would help me do that. I also thought that going to law school would help me help people better.
Yeah.
And once I realized how much debt I really had, I was like, yo, sign me up to make some money.
Now.
Real talk. Hire me, law firms, because I need to pay some loans.
What type of law did you get into?
Finance.
Finance, okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I was a securities lawyer. And I focused on public companies. So my clients were companies that traded on the stock exchange and wanted to, sell more stock, right?
Yeah.
Or I was working with them on their corporate governance, their internal board dynamics rules, etc. How companies operate was very fascinating to me because companies are an amalgamation of people, right?
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly that I was not made for that life. Very quickly.
Right.
How quick are we talking?
How quick did I realize, or how quick did I last? How long
both?
did I last?
Yeah.
So I realized about 6 months in that, no.
Oh, man. After all that school, though, and everything?
Word.
Yeah.
You're like, I passed the bar, I did this, I did that.
Right? But I also believe very strongly in fate.
Yeah.
I believe that there are lessons that I need to learn in this lifetime. And I believe that if I'm in a situation, it's because I need to learn something. And so I was there as long as it took me to learn what I need to learn in that place. And so once I left the practice of law, and I practiced for about 3 years, like just true law practice, then I joined the United States Public Accounting Regulator.
Okay.
And my educational background in college was international affairs. More in line with like the anthropology, but slightly more corporate, right? Yeah. So I was able to take on a role as assistant director for international affairs for this regulator. So I was 26, 27, walking in a room full of peoples.
Right.
Peoples of all kinds.
Yeah.
Twice my age, saying, I'm Valerie Jackson, I'm here on behalf of the United States.
I love that.
It's like the whole fake it till you make it life.
Yeah, which is all everything.
Right.
Which is everything at this point.
It wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I didn't feel the confidence and the sure footing to walk in believing in that moment I knew what I was doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Imposter syndrome on fleek.
Right.
So I loved that. I loved that role. But our organization was sued by an aggrieved third party, and we ended up fighting at the Supreme Court for our existence. And so everyone's like, resume, update, just in case.
Just constantly stressed out all the time,
That too.
Yeah.
But I also did a lot of self-examination, asking myself, what am I good at? What do I want to do? What am I passionate about? And it led me to, I am passionate about teaching people, helping people, and where can I do that best? Quickly. And so I thought maybe going back to the legal industry in an administrative capacity.
Yeah.
And then literally, within not a long period of time, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who said, hey, Valerie, this law firm wants to hire you as their head of diversity. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And this is 2007.
Right.
This is like, you don't really see this very often.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what is that? She's like, they don't know.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Because they'd never had that role like standalone before.
Yeah.
Right? And so they were like, they believe you can help them figure it out.
Wow.
And so that's what I did. I built a standalone function focusing on, it was just diversity at that time, for 4 years at a great company, a great law firm.
So let me pause you real quick.
Yes.
Mid to late 20s, you completely shifted everything you'd been working towards.
Yes.
what direct? Because I that's one of the hardest things, and that's so common for a lot of people though.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people also will stay
Yeah,
down.
just stick it out.
I've already, I've done this for too long. Was there anything like intrinsic, or was there something that you were able to have a carrot ahead of you that led you to believe that a change was going to work out?
Great question.
So, although I was working at, yes, I agree. Great question.
Thank you.
Although I was working
Episode 11.
at great, strong number. Although I was working at great companies,
Right.
I feel like companies are like blue jeans.
Mm.
You can have an array of blue jeans that are the same wash, the same size, the same cut, but each one will fit you a little differently.
Yeah.
Hashtag, I actually worked at the Gap. So this is why I know that you literally have to try on every pair because that's what they teach you.
Yeah.
Like,
So, and I still know how to fold. Okay, so
like the Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Life is like a pair of jeans.
companies
Companies
are like
Okay.
pairs of jeans.
Okay.
And so these were great jeans, but they weren't my fit.
Right.
And so I knew that, and the longer I was in that environment, the more apparent that truth was to me. And I prize my own happiness. I don't just care about yours, I care about mine too. Because I know that the people around me whom I care about, who are at times lifting me up off the floor, want me to be happy too, need me to be happy for them to stick around.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
It's like
So,
the mask. You gotta help yourself first before you help someone else. Yeah. I know.
I hate that rule.
Here we are.
you hate helping
that's-
someone before yourself?
That's a what? This is not about me. This is about you. Let's continue on.
I ask a lot of questions in what I do. I'm also a coach, which is why. Shout out to our incredible coaching team.
Yeah.
I'm not an official coach here at Procore. I just play one on TV. But our amazing coaching team here, like next level, I give props to them all the time, including my own Courtney. Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out,
So,
Courtney.
what was the question? Oh, how did I figure all this out?
Yeah.
I was really unhappy, and I wanted to be happy.
And you reflect.
And I asked myself a lot of questions. I did lots of exercises. I found all the books I could on like how to figure out what I'm good at, what I want to do.
Yeah.
Basically coaching myself.
Yeah.
And when a phone call came out of the blue with an amazing opportunity that was exhilarating and scary,
Yeah.
I leaned on what my mother had taught me about leaning in and looking for or accepting signs and opportunities. And I was like, this is not by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say yes. At least try it. Because if I fail spectacularly, my job will always take me back. As long as they weren't shut down by the Supreme Court, they would always
Right.
take me back.
Yeah.
Right?
You always have that fallback,
And
yeah.
ditto the law firm before them. When I left them to go to this regulator, it was a big shift.
Yeah.
I did it because I knew I needed something different.
Yeah.
And because I hoped that would align better with who I am. And each choice, each employer has helped me get closer and closer and closer to being my full self at work and loving everything that I do.
Yeah. The process.
Almost everything that I do. 80-20, like, let's be real.
The process is so important. The journey is so important to everything. Like, I feel like that I've tried a lot of things and failed at a lot of things, but those failures were meant to be at that time, and it's every time it's hard to accept though.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it hurts.
It's a sting.
Was
Yeah.
there an early
Sting?
affirming moment when you finally made that change? You got that call and you finally went down that path. Was there like a early moment where you're like, this is what I'm meant to be doing?
Ooh, okay. So one affirming moment was having someone say, there is someone who wants you to do something they think you can do
Right.
Yeah.
that others might not be able to do.
Yeah.
That was super affirming. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
It also helped that the people who know me the best, my support system, my ride or die personal board of directors, my spouse, my mother, and my younger sister, all of them recognize this as a great opportunity. And often, if I'm clouded or am not objective, they can help me see the truth as opposed to my skewed vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I relied on them. I relied on that, incredible opportunity, and on my gut. Again, going back to my mom, she always taught me to follow my gut. Don't go against your gut, because your gut is telling you something that maybe your brain can't yet compute.
Yeah.
And so I did. And no choice leads us to a perfect utopia. Utopia doesn't exist. But each choice showed me something about what I thought I wanted, what I really wanted, who I am, who I'm evolving into, what I like, what I don't like. So that was it. And it wasn't just in my mid to late 20s when I had those moments. I had those moments in my 30s too. You know, I don't just shout out coaches because I like what they do. A coach helped me at one of the darkest times in my own career trying to figure out why things weren't fitting exactly.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that external objective perspective coming from someone who truly wants to see you succeed makes all the difference.
Right.
Absolutely. So then what happened once you said yes, I guess?
I keep saying yes.
Yeah.
Rule number 1.
Yeah.
I keep saying yes. Rule number 2, I keep listening to my gut.
Yeah.
So when I knew that I wanted to pivot and leave the legal industry and come into tech, I didn't know about Procore. I really didn't. I'd never heard of it. And it's because the companies I'd heard of primarily were our clients at the law firm. But as I was being recruited by different companies, I would keep taking my temperature. Do I like this group? Do I like what they do? Do I like where this is? And I have to, at this point, shout out my spouse, who is one of my best friends, and I'm so blessed to have someone in my life like this. I have those people on my ride or die board teach me so much, and I'm getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Unconditional love, number 1, that's a blessing. Number 2, unconditional support. Number 3, unconditional honesty. Yo, pull yourself back. Choke yourself. Or lift yourself up because you're worth more. Right? And my spouse has always said, never settle. Never, ever, ever, ever settle. And so when I felt myself leaning towards settling, I knew that I was devaluing myself. And that's me giving my power away. Without anyone even directly asking for it. It's like, oh, here you go. Here's my power. Here's my confidence. Here's my self-worth. No. So not settling. Sticking true to what I want and having faith that it will come to me has helped me through everything. Granted, my job's kind of in the good karma business.
Yeah, right. You have a lot built up.
But that was a very winding answer to whatever the question was.
Yeah. No, that's.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, that's. So I mean, jumping back to what you do now, if more places were going to take on this as a very serious thing, like it has at Procore, what does that potential look like? What does that?
And they should.
Yeah.
Where did they start?
Well, okay, so starting with, I know.
Later questions, sorry.
First you want to start with, what do you value as a company? What are you trying to build as a company? Some people approach my role from a very programmatic perspective and are really adept at building and driving programs which can deliver a number of different things. Some are adept at strategy. Some are adept at external visibility and marketing, right? So everyone has a different approach. So when you ask how should companies perceive of this and how do they get started, start with figuring out what you want, deciding whether what you want requires an investment in people and culture, because what I do is people and culture, full stop. All the people, focusing on the culture, okay? If as a company you believe your goals will be advanced by investing in people and culture in new and innovative and inclusive ways, then heck yeah, you should think about this function. And how you structure the function depends on how much money you have, right? And also what you're trying to get out of it. But there is no one way to structure it. There's no one way to approach this other than being strategic about what the company needs and how to build toward that. Did that answer? Kind of?
And I mean, and bouncing off of that, I mean, earlier you said, intrinsically you love seeing people happy, right? And that's kind of the role dumbed down to a 3-year-old. It's really difficult to make a lot of people happy. I'm assuming there's no like out of the box tools that you could implement once you've done
I
your
see what you mean.
research?
Yeah.
And
Well,
what
actually,
are the
there
things
are
you can-
ways.
Okay.
Now, where you implement these along your journey depends, again, on how you're structured and what you're driving toward. But looking at engagement and inclusion scores, you can survey people to learn their level of engagement. And engagement is tied to the, frankly, inclusiveness of an organization. And you can also measure inclusiveness. So when we redid our Culture Amp Inclusion and Engagement Survey, after I came on board in February, we realigned it along the 6 elements of an inclusive culture. Fairness and respect, which reference how we treat others and want to be treated. Value and belonging, which reference how we feel. And then psychological safety and inspiration, which reference how we engage or if we engage. Okay? And so measuring the levels of those 6 elements at the various levels of Procore, our company, our departments, our offices, and soon going into the teams, is a great indicator of where we're doing well, where we aren't, where we need to focus to improve, and that helps us to reverse engineer what we have to do to improve.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Define.
So you can measure anything, but you want to measure what is going to drive changes in behavior, or drive success, drive whatever it is that you need to accomplish.
Gotcha.
Okay. People always ask, well, what do you measure and what are your metrics? And I got metrics for days, but it's, are we measuring the right things to get us toward what our professed goals are?
Right.
Gotcha. And do you decide that just you and your team, or is this a whole company?
Team of 1 over here.
I'm just kidding. Not at all.
Let me see how the wind is going.
Yeah. No. So based on my approach is to find out the stated company priorities, the executives' priorities as a leadership team. What are management's priorities? So here we use OKRs, right? So what are our company OKRs, for example? What are our executives' collective priorities for the business? What are their individual priorities for themselves and their departments? What are the needs as I perceive them after doing my needs assessment and audit of a company? And what are my personal priorities and values? And our company values. And so I take all of this, it's like a big old stew. And
stews are good.
Each of the ingredients, frankly, has a different priority level. I often have to subjugate what I really, really want for what the company is driving toward in any given moment, but I never, ever give up on my personal values. Ever.
Once you do that.
Nothing is worth that. To me.
Right. No. Can anyone be involved in D&I work, and what would be the ways to get involved?
Yes, anyone can be and should be involved in inclusion and diversity work because it needs everybody, it touches everybody, it requires everybody, and it benefits everyone. And here at Procore, the word inclusion comes first because it is meant to be a reminder that an inclusive culture is what we're driving toward. We're a construction software company, right? So an inclusive culture is our foundation. It's also our pillars. It is our roof. It is our complete structure, and it's everything that goes inside. Okay? We have to remember that. Inclusion and diversity are 2 separate things.
Right.
Now, everyone should be involved in assessing what your mindset is and whether that is helping you to get to the next level. Because if you have a fixed mindset, then a lot of what I'm talking about may not resonate with you. Because what I'm talking about is thinking and acting differently in many cases. Right?
Going outside your comfort zone.
Going outside your comfort zone, making space for someone else to be right or for someone else to speak up.
I'm happy where I'm at. Why do I need to get outside my comfort zone?
Really?
Yeah.
And whereas if you have a growth mindset, you would look at any new idea, whether it's challenging or it makes you feel good, as a possibility. You might not like it, you might not agree with it, and you might not run with it, but at least you're open to it. And so everyone can do that. Everyone can educate themselves on how to show up as a better human.
Yeah.
Everyone can educate themselves about the panoply of human experiences, right?
Yeah.
Your life is so different from your life, which is so different from my life. It doesn't mean that any of them is more or less valid. It might rub me the wrong way, how you live, how you think and vote might rub me the wrong way, but it doesn't diminish our inherent worth and value as humans. Right? So learning about how we can show up better, learning about the fact that there are other perspectives that aren't ours, and understanding how our own life story, our own perspectives actually impact how we talk to people, how we work on teams with people, how we hire people, how we welcome people into new groups or don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anybody can. Now, talking specifically about my role, can anyone do my role? Sure. Can anyone do it well? That's a different question.
Yeah.
Because every company wants something different out of this role.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that Procore is a people first, culture first company. Shout out to our great boss, Michelle Greer. We got 2 department people in this podcast. And she and the company really value culture as a business driver. Our president and chief culture officer, Steve Zahm, will tell you 8 ways from Sunday how culture drives business. And so that is not every company out there.
Yeah.
Let's start there. But if you have a thin skin, I highly recommend that you toughen it up. Because this is a very challenging role that is complex, not because the concepts are necessarily complex, but because humans are complex. And when you're introducing something to someone that may be new or they may not like, we gotta work on how you're gonna open to it and how it's gonna settle in, right? And that's challenging. And people have all sorts of experiences that aren't always positive in any given environment, and a lot of those people seek me out. Sometimes people are just having a ball and they seek me out and they want to talk about it, but that's not as common. And also understanding how to take all of the things around and turn them into, a stew. Thinking strategically and understanding how to execute. We are magicians doing a lot with little. But we also have to be smart tacticians. We have to execute. We can't just sit back and think. Most of us don't have the luxury of doing just one. We have to do it all. So being well versed in bringing something to fruition and then making it happen. GSD.
That's my favorite thing on Sunday, baby.
Man. So getting stuff done is the G-rated version of that. And let's see, what else? Listening is a skill, man. Listening, people, I should say. Listening is a skill. And caring helps.
Makes it,
you do not need to be a member of any particular group or groups to do this well. Anyone can do this job well if you know how to listen, you know how to think, you know how to execute, you care, you're business minded, and you're people focused.
I love it.
And you bring some scar tissue. Because that's the hardest skin of all, and it'll get you through a lot.
Is there an end in sight, or do you see an end for... is there, what I'm trying to say is, is there an end goal, right? Or is it a continuous?
So I would say that for companies, it is typically a continuous journey toward a certain level of engagement, employee satisfaction, etc. Whatever your goals are, right? It's rare to find any place where people are 100% happy and engaged. So companies are typically working toward the highest engagement and the highest, satisfaction rates possible. For me, my end goal in every company is to work myself out of a job. I would love to hire my replacement, but also I would love to work my role into obscurity because it is baked into other roles. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that inclusion and diversity aren't just some side dishes. And you know I'm passionate now because my Georgia accent came out.
Yeah.
I&D ain't no side dish. It should be baked into everything we do within our people and culture department, within our executives' mindsets and decision-making teams. And that is my end goal. And I'm also still playing the lottery, right? I play the lottery because when I win, after traveling the world, of course.
Yeah.
And setting up charities for children and animals.
Yeah.
I will have my own consulting and coaching business, working with individuals, helping them. Oh, I'm getting sad because I want that winning lottery ticket.
I know. Yeah.
I want you to have
Helping them find happiness and success on their terms.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is how I define happiness and success at work on my terms. And once I get there, that'll be my true end goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one cheesy question to wrap it up, but I'm throwing us a new one.
You're not lactose intolerant, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
You're not lactose intolerant, right? Because these get real cheesy.
They get cheesy.
Okay.
Yeah, get ready.
So, if you were to reflect and tell your 26-year-old self, give yourself some piece of advice.
Oh, gosh.
What would it be?
Love
And
these.
why?
Love these.
That was a tumultuous year for me, too.
I love that word. I keep hearing it everywhere.
Tumultuous?
Yeah.
This is an introvert processing.
It's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
What would I tell my 26-year-old self? It gets better. It gets better. Hang
great
on.
Yeah.
Be strong. You are strong. Remember that you are strong. Nothing can beat you. Everything happens for a reason. Be open to what those reasons are. Be open to learning. Be open to the fact that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
And you have a lot yet to experience on this planet. And the more you experience, the better it'll get, because it does get better. And lean on the people who love you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for opening up with us.
Thank you for
And
making me
sharing
cry.
everything.
I don't know how many times.